that would be. I'm Susie Armstrong, and this is the World of Racing on the Motor Racing Network.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast. 60 minutes of NASCAR local and regional racing talk, interviews, and opinions. Here's Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long.
A repeat champion in the South and now in the North for NASCAR Modifieds. The Drive for Diversity Combine is underway in Virginia, and there's a tight point battle that got even tighter in the NASCAR K&N West Series, heading to their season finale in Phoenix. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast for Tuesday, October 20th, 2015. Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long as we talk NASCAR regional and weekly racing with you for the next hour. We were just talking a moment ago. Hard to believe we're down to the last 4 or 5 regular shows before we get into banquet season?
About 5, yeah. About 5 shows. I think when we talk to the K&N Westers again after the Phoenix race, which that should be very interesting to see who's going to come out on top of that. That might be the final one for the year, maybe not. We thought that last year, and then we added a few more. Of course, we did the banquet, and then we had a chance to do the schedule shows. So hopefully we'll have a chance to do that again.
Absolutely. So funny thing this week.
That was good. That was good.
I get a new TV, big screen, smart TV. Still trying to figure out how to learn the thing, but you can get YouTube on it.
Oh, really?
And I watched one of our shows on the big screen.
How bad was that?
Eek.
I haven't watched them. I used to listen to them, but now that we got a little video action going,
exactly.
I won't look.
Thank God for Robbie, our graphics guy.
It's too late to make up to him. You already screwed him over before we went on the air. He's not gonna. You can apologize all you want.
Huffing and puffing in the.
You want to tell
studio.
everybody what you just did to him?
Well, he was adjusting our cameras, and he goes, "Ask our producer Craig how much time is left," and Craig goes, 45 seconds. And then I tell Robbie 15. So, but anyway, you can watch all of our shows on YouTube on demand, which is pretty cool. We have some in-studio guests every couple of weeks.
Right.
A lot of great graphics and information, and it's a good time.
No, that's been a great part of having things being videotaped. Robbie has done a tremendous job when we're talking to drivers. He's thrown up a lot of great graphics, a lot of standings, a lot of pictures.
Right,
that's not a good graphic right now.
Okay.
So I got to stop talking. I'm going to turn it back over to you. So Robbie switches back over to you.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a busy show today. Max Siegel will join us, the CEO of Rev Racing. They are in day 2 of a 3-day combine. Hard to believe it's 12 years in to the combine.
Exactly.
And we'll talk about the class that's there, the current class that we've been talking about all year in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East and in their late model program, and a lot of the alumni like Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, Bubba Wallace that have all gone on to do bigger and better things with Max here coming up in a little bit.
Yeah, and it's been a great season for Rev Racing indeed. As the K&N Pro Series East team, we've talked about it a lot. It ended with Colin Cabree coming away with a big victory at Dover. Had a great second-half run, and then as we mentioned earlier in the year when Jay Beasley went down, Sergio Pena, who had some history with Rev Racing, got right back in the car, wanted VIR. One of the best seasons Rev Racing has had, not just in the win category, but a lot of good runs for a lot of different drivers.
I think they said it's their 5th or 6th season in a row where they have had multiple wins.
Mm-hmm.
So Dylan Smith did a great job in their late model program along with Natalie Decker.
As soon as they cut the top out of the car so that hair could get up through there, Dylan was good. But the aerodynamics got messed up a little bit on that too.
It was funny in the picture. They took a bunch of pictures yesterday. Part of day 1, they had a formal event last night. They had their fitness test yesterday, and they had a bunch of group pictures. And I always felt bad for the driver behind Dylan because he had to up over the hair. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to the Rev Racing Facebook page.
Great kid.
A lot of great pictures there, and Dylan's a great kid to be around, and he is everywhere. We've talked about that in the past. So Max will join us here in a little bit to talk about Rev Racing and what's going on at the Drive for Diversity Combine up at Langley here this week. Gracin will join us. Another one of the bright stars, and I believe our future big winner this past weekend, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West race at All-American Speedway.
Fell into the it's only a matter of time category.
Yep.
He was just another one that we knew was going to click off a victory, whether it was going to be this year or not. Turned out to be good, and just twofold deal. I mean, he and his teammate Noah Gracin have picked up victories this year and have done very well. But again, the transition from Gene Price Motorsports last year, in which Greg Pursley won the title, here comes Jefferson Pitts Racing, absorbing a lot of their program and doing extremely well, not even skipping a beat. It's like when the first race happened, it's like it was seamless. You didn't even see a difference.
3 points, no, 9 points out of the lead. Third in the championship standings behind Noah. So it'll be an interesting finale here on the Motor Racing Network in a couple of weeks at Phoenix International Raceway. So we'll talk more about that and to Gracin a little bit about his last lap pass to get the win this past Saturday night. Ryan Preece will also join us. He's the big winner of the Sunoco Modified feature at Thompson. And I don't know if he's going to be happy when he talks to us or if he's just going to be flat out depressed because he finished second in the championship standings at Thompson for their Sunoco Modifieds, second in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship to Doug Coby, second in the championship standings at Stafford Speedway to Rowan Pennick, and third in points at Riverhead Raceway in their local modified division.
And then you can add a little bit more to that when he came down south. Second at Bowman Gray, second at Charlotte in the Whelen Southern Modified Tour. But that was one of the angles I was going to come at. You can sit down and you can say, gosh, darn, we were so close to everything. And, a lot of drivers will say, well, second place is just the first loser.
Right.
You've heard that statement in racing, the movie 3. Dale Earnhardt said that years ago. But when you really sit down and look at what he did, it's pretty phenomenal because everything that he did in which he finished second in wasn't always in the same car.
Right.
And that's a great tribute to a driver to get into so many different rides in the north and down here in the south and adjust and just blend so well with so many different crew members, crew chiefs, and different people. That says a lot. There's not too many drivers that can do that.
And came up, I think, a combined, 15 or 20 points from 3 championships.
Exactly.
Incredible for Ryan Preece. He will join us later in the show. But when we come back, we're going to go out to the Langley Speedway where the Drive for Diversity program is in day number 2. I think the drivers are out on the track most of today. We're going to talk to the CEO of Rev Racing, Max Siegel, when we come back.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
One final lap in the Daytona 500. Joey Logano has the point. Junior crosses over.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series East driver Jesse Little, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Kyle, Rickey, Buddy Long with you for the next 51 minutes talking about NASCAR short track and regional racing and the Drive for Diversity Combine, which is taking place this week. In fact, they are in the middle of day number 2 at the Langley Speedway in Virginia. Max Siegel, the CEO of Rev Racing, is there and joins us now on the guest line. Max, hard to believe, Buddy and I were talking a little bit ago. This is, I believe, the 12th year you guys have been doing this?
Yeah, in fact, it's Rev Racing's 8th year managing the program.
Wow.
So 4 years prior to that, 8 years overseeing the program, and it's been a great run so far.
Kyle had spun off, earlier at the top of the broadcast, some of the names that have popped out of the Drive for Diversity program and that have gone on to such great things. And we've also seen such champions in the K&N Pro Series East do well as in addition to that. Did you envision this that many years ago, that it would have this much success and continue to churn out so many great drivers that have gone on to good, better things?
Well, what I was convinced of from the beginning was that NASCAR truly had a commitment to diversity and growing the sport. And we took a look at the program and decided that the best model for it was the academy-style training. And we felt if we put the right equipment, the resources around some of the young, talented drivers and develop them holistically, we'd have success. But it was hard to imagine that you have drivers like Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson and Daniel Suarez come through this program. And we see a lot of promising young drivers even here at this combine.
I count 23 of them on the list, and then obviously your current NASCAR K&N Pro Series East drivers are there as well. Before we talk about this week, let's talk about getting to this point. I'm assuming you guys get 100, 200, 300 applications during the year. How difficult is it to whittle it down to bring just 22 or 23 drivers to Virginia for this week?
I'll tell you, it's getting harder and harder every single year. We have about 20 people on the resume committee throughout the NASCAR industry, series directors, competition directors, our own personnel. And we have talented drivers from whether it's the Mexico series at the local short tracks. Getting down to 23 is really difficult because the quality of the applicants goes up every year.
Now, do you have the ability yourself to, once you get some of these applications and the field kind of gets whittled down a little bit, so to speak, do you have a chance to visit some of the venues in Mexico or some of the other areas where some of these drivers are coming from, or do you pretty much kind of lean on different professionals of NASCAR racing in different segments to kind of keep you in the loop on how these drivers are doing?
Yeah, we rely on each other very heavily. I mean, Joe Balish is tremendous in terms of giving us his views and intel. He's down there on a regular basis, and as is all of the series directors in the various parts of the country. So, we get to evaluate the tape. We reach out to the track promoters. We rely heavily on our colleagues who are there every day to just give us an assessment of what they see on a day-to-day basis.
Was looking at some of the pictures last night from Dylan Smith and Devin Amos. It looked like the first day of like high school or something.
Yeah.
All the different activities that they were doing yesterday afternoon. What occurs during these 3 days? Yesterday, it looked like there was a lot of fitness activity and a formal event last night. And I guess according to the pictures I've seen today, they're on the racetrack here this afternoon.
Yeah, before we get to the on-track evaluation, which started today, we have a wonderful welcome dinner for the parents and the athletes. We do mock interviews, do media training. They do a physical assessment with Coach Phil Horton, and we talk about all those things on and off the track that we expect and what makes them successful as drivers. So they have a pretty packed schedule, and starting today, they're on the track being evaluated by a team of people as well.
So driving skills, strength and agility courses and activities that they're taking place at Hampton University are the huge part of it, some of the key ingredients. Is another part of this, Max, how well they deal with the media or how they have to this point, or is it once those drivers have been chosen, you have the opportunity in your group, NASCAR, and you guys have an opportunity to further develop them as far as handling themselves socially with the media?
It's a combination of both. Obviously, the younger the driver is, we don't have the expectation that they'll have all of those things polished and developed. But we certainly want to look at the opportunities that we have and the potential that the drivers have as a whole driver to develop on and off the track, being a great ambassador to sponsors or the sport, handling the car on the track. But, it's really the total package that we're looking for.
What is your message to these young drivers? I saw you addressing them yesterday, opening day, a classroom setting to start the day. What's your message as this week gets underway to these young drivers and any other drivers that may be listening to this program that may one day be a part of this program?
Well, first and foremost, with the program specifically, it's such an honor to be invited to the Combine. And it's such a tremendous commitment that our organization's made to the initiative that to be able to drive, they should take advantage of, the opportunity. But we want them to relax. We want them to have fun. We want them to understand that it's a complete evaluation. We stress safety first and to have a continuing relationship with us. We have some of our drivers now that have been to 3 combines, and they ultimately made it, like Colin Cabre. We have put some of our young drivers in bandoleros and legends and developed them. And really, if they're passionate about the sport, learning, listening, and figuring out what they need to do to continue to improve their skills.
And one thing I think that also goes into that, once they get to the level of running for you guys at Rev Racing, is chemistry. And sometimes when you look at the driver lineup that you may have for Rev Racing, it's going to change quite a bit if these drivers have success and are able to move on to another level of NASCAR racing in a very quick period of time. But being able to adapt not only to the other drivers that they're going to be having as teammates, but crew members, crew chiefs, there's quite a bit of chemistry and quite a bit of gelling that has to take place, it seems like, in a very short period of time.
Absolutely, and I was speaking to one of our drivers yesterday, and I told him, I said, look, many of the successful teams, it's a family. The drivers are there, they're integrated. The team and the crew understands how important they are to support the drivers' efforts. But being a part of an organization, I think for us, the chemistry is really, really important.
Now, for the drivers that are already in the program, what is their role during this week? Are they going through all those same tests? I've seen, Colin post some stuff and tweet some stuff along with Kenzie Rustin, who's there, and Devin and Jay. Are they just thrown back into the mix, or is their role different this week?
Their role's slightly different. We've obviously had the entire year to evaluate their on and on track experience and their performance. They've been pretty good mentors to some of the new drivers at the camp. They've been doing everything from transporting people around, helping set up the cars, and walking some of the new drivers through the process. So they've been really helpful, excited to be here, and it's just great to see them interact with some of the new folks as well.
Obviously, having a run of 12 years with NASCAR, you, as you mentioned, with Rev Racing being involved for the last 8, a very successful program. Are there any new twists or any added items that you guys see, or you're always looking at, like how can we improve this combine for these drivers? What other skills, what other areas can we look at to make them even more of a complete race car driver?
Yeah, from the combine's perspective, we're always looking to get more efficient, giving the drivers as much seat time on the track as possible, so we get a really good look at them. Back at the shop, like every other race team, we are excited about some of the new technology and equipment that we're purchasing, and just constantly looking to make our race cars better and doing more comprehensive development, whether it's adding some sports psychology sessions, some extra physical workout and nutrition, but everything that we can do to help our drivers get a little bit of a competitive edge.
Now, this, I believe, is the first of 2 combines for you guys. This is for late model drivers and the K&N series, the East drivers, or drivers looking to get into those seats. But you have a youth combine coming up in, I believe, 2 weeks at Concord Motorsports Park here in just outside of Charlotte.
Yeah, that also has been a good program that's grown for us. Our youth program has become pretty robust. We got some of our young drivers in the Bandoleros and in the Legend cars go through a very similar evaluation in a couple weeks back in the Charlotte area, and so we're just really excited to get them in there. We've launched our Rev Racing Motorsports Academy, where we're actually introducing young people from 8 to 18 just to the sport, from go-karting all the way up to driving a late model.
This year, again, a very successful year for Rev Racing. It showed the diversity when we saw Jay Beasley go down. Sergio Pena, who had been one of your past drivers and had won previously, got in the car and won at VIR, doing a very good job. And the season ender for you guys, Colin Cabrey coming away with a huge victory, looking very strong in the latter part of this season. When you see all that happening, as busy as you are, do you still have an opportunity to just catch your breath, sit back, and just kind of look at what your drivers have done over the past 8 to 12 years?
You take a minute to look at it, and it's kind of overwhelming. I get really excited for each one of them as they, achieve success. And you look at Colin, for instance, he started the year off new form of driving. We added some late model races in there, which would accelerated his learning curve. And to see him win in such a commanding way and a dominant way in the last race is a way to cap off the year. But it's great because we've had so many different drivers win on the track, which I think is confirmation that the model of the program is working and helping our drivers go on to the next level.
So we talked a little bit earlier about how we got to this point and taking all those resumes that come from around the country and and getting, narrowing them down to 23 drivers. What's the process like once tomorrow concludes, and when should we know who your drivers are for the 2016 NASCAR K&N Pro Series East season and the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series late model season?
Well, we'll sit down and have a healthy debate and conversation, very passionate conversation from the team that has evaluated the talent, and then we'll prioritize what the needs of the team are. We'll talk about the drivers that fit our needs and perform the best. We'll make the selection, and prior to the end of the year, we will for sure have our class ready to announce for 2016.
So who gets to be the bearer of the good news and the bearer of the not so good news? Do you take on that chore, or do you have a couple of other folks that may have to have that unenviable task if it's some drivers that didn't make it this year?
I love to deliver all the good news and give the bad news to everyone else.
There you go.
No, our competition director, Jefferson Hodges, who does a tremendous job for us, typically has the enviable and unenviable task of informing both those who made it and those who did not make it. And I think, it's always very difficult because the choices are hard, but we have communicated to the drivers, again, that it's about a long-term relationship. And, we just want to stay close to them in their careers and try to help them in any way that we can.
And I look at the list, and it would be hard just for us because we've had a lot of these drivers on our show, and all are well-spoken. A lot of the drivers coming from the NASCAR Mexico Series, including the current points leader, he finished fourth just the other day in Ruben Garcia Jr. So, a lot of drivers. I'm glad I'm not on that committee. That's all I can say. That's going to be a tough one. Max, thanks for taking the time to join us here this afternoon on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Best of luck out there with the Combine, and we look forward to seeing your announcements here in a couple of months.
Thank you very much for having me.
The CEO of Rev Racing, Max Siegel, he's busy. A lot of big names. A lot of names that we've talked to or talked about, Kaylee Barker at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Nicole Bihar, who we've had on the show a couple of times from the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West, Ruben Garcia Jr., the point leader, as I mentioned a moment ago, in the NASCAR Mexico Series, Hannah Newhouse. Dylan Smith is back at it. I think I talked to him at GoPro Motorplex a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, 60% of my life has been at the Combine. I think this is like his 9th or 10th year a part of it. He's still young enough, and but boy, he started, as I think 8 years old is probably when he started, and he's still at it.
Yeah, I had a great time with him earlier this year on the show. He was just so full of life, and obviously we see him in a lot of different racetracks. Even when he's not racing, he's always around.
Everywhere.
It's always good to have some good fun with him.
Abraham Calderon, another successful driver in the NASCAR Mexico Series. So all on track right now. I saw the pictures yesterday of them doing their interviews and their fitness test, and they've been busy out there at the Langley Speedway and up in the Hampton, Virginia area, racing for their future in the 2016 season. When we come back, a driver that did well this past weekend, picked up his very first NASCAR K&N Pro Series West win at the All-American Speedway, won the Napa Auto Parts Toyota 150. Gracin Raz joins us after the break.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
If your vehicle has a bumpy ride, it might be time for new shocks or struts. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 4 Monroe shocks and struts for the price of 3 after mail-in rebate. Improve your vehicle's steering, stopping, and stability with Monroe shocks and struts at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Need fantasy racing advice on picking your team for the upcoming Sprint Cup race? Motor Racing Network's fantasy experts are here to help you with the inside line.
I like the fiery Brad Keselowski, and here's why.
Join Tyler Burnett and Robbie Mays every Thursday on the Inside Line for in-depth analysis to give you a leg up on the competition.
I'm really curious to see if they can continue that dominance.
The Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, Thursdays in the Media Center at mrn.com.
Caleb Allison, NASCAR Whelen All-American Series driver, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
And most of those NASCAR Whelen All-American Series drivers done for the season until they get to the season-ending award banquets in December here in Charlotte. The next time that we will probably get to talk to many of them.
And one of the few times I get to wear a tie, and thank God for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just try. I was watching you get it on you try to get the tie on.
Kind of, yeah. You were saying get it on. You got to be a little bit more specific.
Get the tie on last year. It took you about 20 minutes. Not nearly
clip on, baby.
Not nearly as long as me, though. All right, back here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, talking about the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West now. Another first-time winner. It's been a running theme this year for the K&N West Series. Gracin Raz picked up the win on Saturday night at the All-American Speedway in Roseville, California. Won the Napa Auto Parts Toyota 150. He joins us now on the guest line. Gracin, welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast, and congratulations on your very first NASCAR K&N Pro Series win. Had to be a very special evening in Victory Lane when all was said and done.
Yeah, it was an amazing night for sure, and I just want to thank you guys for having me back on the show. It's amazing to talk to you guys again.
Yeah, I had a chance to have him on earlier this year when he had a very good finish. It wasn't the victory, so hopefully that gave us you a little bit good luck. Take us through the final few laps. Obviously, your first career pole earlier in the night, but didn't have the opportunity to be up front completely. Take us through those final few laps when you had to kind of get back in front to get that first career win.
Well, I mean, it was about 5 to go, and it was kind of looking like we are just going to have another solid finish. We were running fourth, running down the top three, and unfortunately, my teammate Noah Gracin got turned around there going in turn one, and we just decided that it was time to make our move on that green-white checkered, and I had a lot of coaching going on between my spotter Frank Denny and my crew chief Jeff Jefferson, and they just really helped me get it done that night.
Moved around Alex Shuddy on the final lap. Chris Eggleston finished in third. David Mayhew fourth, and Braden Havens rounded out the top five. Good 24-car field. Took the green flag on Saturday night. Last time we talked to you, I think earlier in the summer, you were fresh off a second-place effort at Tucson Raceway Park in Arizona. How have you adapted to these cars over the course of the season? Obviously, you came out of the blocks strong early in the season, but what have you learned about these cars and the longer races that I'm sure you were not used to coming into the year?
Well, actually, I've been running a lot of late model stuff, running about 200 laps. So the length of the races weren't too bad, but it was really the size of the tracks I was racing on and how unique some of the tracks I was racing on. Racing up Northwest, I was kind of used to about 4 or 5 tracks, and now I really expanded my experience on driving on different tracks and running in California quite a bit. And so a lot of them have been a big adjustment, but it's been awesome. The experience that we have on JPR Racing, it's been magnificent to have them coaching me, and they've really made me who I am today as a driver.
And we've talked a lot about the Jefferson Pitts racing effort. We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast and throughout the season. Last year, this was a team in which Gene Price Motorsports had. Greg Pursley came away with another championship. And early in the year, through the efforts of NBC Sports Network, by virtue of us having a chance to watch events at Irwindale and Kern County Raceway Park, all of a sudden, Jefferson Pitts Racing, they were right at the front. You and Noah Gracin, your teammate, were right at the very top. Like they hadn't skipped a beat. We've always talked about Bill McAnally Racing, Bob Brincotti Racing. They're always so good. They're two of the big ones out there. But Jefferson Pitts stands toe-to-toe with those two organizations.
Yeah, it's amazing to have a first-year team running, I think it's first and third or second and third right now in championship points. And especially be doing it with 2 rookies. I think that's a great thing for Jefferson Pitts. It shows how good they are, how much experience they have, and they want to win, and as much as their drivers do. So that's really been the biggest thing, is we all have a common goal and we all work together to accomplish it.
Chris Eggleston, the championship leader now by 4 points over Noah Gracin, your teammate, and then you are third, just 9 points out of the lead. What is your relationship like with Noah compared to maybe what it was before you guys teamed up at the start of this season?
I actually didn't even know who Noah Gracin was about 8 months ago. So it's been really cool to see how our relationship has grown. He's one of my really close friends now, and it shows after races. He didn't have a best of finish that he wanted to, or like I said, he got turned around there. And, I mean, he was down in Victory Lane celebrating with me. He wanted to be there. We took some cool pictures with each other, and I know I've done the same way with him. So it's been a really cool thing to have that, because I look at some other teams and they just don't have the same relationship. Like they're like way too competitive to see, like, you know, your guys are teammates. If you guys want to really succeed, you got to help each other out sometimes, because that's what, you know, teammates are for. So Noah and I want to beat each other as much as anyone else, but at the end of the day, we're both really good friends.
And that says a lot for the age that you two are. You're so young. You're two of the future hopefuls on the Canon Pro Series West and in NASCAR racing. But to have that type of attitude at the very beginning, such a competitive spirit on the racetrack, but the one that doesn't finish ahead of the other one is right there to support the other one in victory lane. And that's a big growing process for two young drivers who have already started off a very good career. Now, Phoenix looms large in the mirror, or I should say to the front window. You guys know that you have a huge entry list that you're going to have to deal with. A lot of drivers from the K&N Pro Series East who have finished their season up just a few weekends ago. But actually, you know, when a lot of people look at that and say, wow, this is going to be really tough for Gracin or Raz to win, when you've got a William Byron or you've got this one or that one that's out there from the East, really kind of mixing it up in there. But you guys have kind of been used to this with your two combo races at Iowa, already having that opportunity to run against these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also went back east. Noah did Watkins Glen, and we both did Richmond. So we have experience racing around them. They're definitely coming into a different deal there. I mean, we raced with them also at Sonoma. So we're very familiar with how they drive. They're really good racers, obviously, and they have accomplished a lot. I think, I mean, it's going to be no different than racing them at Iowa or Richmond or whatnot. But the goal is definitely to beat them still. They're coming in, and they could be a deciding factor if we can get a few cars in between me and Chris or me and Noah. I mean, that could be a big difference. So it could be a good or bad thing for us, but we know we're just going to go into the race focusing on winning the race, because that's what we're going to be there doing.
That championship race for the K&N West Series set for November 12th at the Phoenix International Raceway, live here on the Motor Racing Network. We'll have live flag-to-flag coverage here on MRN and MRN.com. A racetrack that you have never competed on, at least in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series car. Any concerns there, being that I guess that's your super speedway out there on the West Series?
I can't say I have a lot of concerns, but I mean, it's definitely something I got to adjust to. Like I said, there's a lot of tracks I haven't raced at this year, and Phoenix is one of them. So I got to approach it the same way I've approached other tracks, and we just got to get it done. So, but it's nothing. It's nothing going to be. It's not anything that we can't tackle, to be honest. I mean, like I said earlier, with the experience we have on JPR, my crew chief and spotter have both raced there. They know how to coach me to get around there. Jerry Pitts and Jeff always set up good cars. If it's Greg Persley or Dylan Klosnowski or Cameron Haley, they always seem to be running up front. So I have no concerns about that.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head, because two of the common themes this year on the West were the influx of rookies, the young drivers that came in, and a very diverse schedule for everybody that had not seen a lot of these racetracks. We have talked about it time and time again. There are a handful, obviously, that know Phoenix a little bit better than you, but with the success that you guys have had so far this year and running right up there in the thick of the battle for the points, looks like you guys are headed in the right direction. Not having a great deal of stock car
this
experience.
One that we just picked up is humongous for us. I mean, it's going to carry a lot of momentum, and it's something that we've been trying to get all year long. So for us to get it right before the season finale in Phoenix is huge.
Not having a great deal of stock car experience coming in, Gracin, what were your realistic expectations for this first season, not only for yourself trying to get adapted to stock cars before you ran a flurry of late models, but also with, to a degree on paper, or I guess by name, a new team, but physically, obviously, an existing team coming from somewhere else? What were the realistic goals this year?
Well, going into it, I was just kind of, Rookie of the Year was definitely on my mind, and I wanted to snag that, but we approached it saying, let's go get a top 5. Like, that's going to be our goal. And then after that, it's going to be top 3. And then after that, we're going to try to keep working towards a win. And we're going to work our way up there. And obviously didn't come as soon as we wanted to, but it definitely came, and we're extremely excited in the 27 Montana Tech camp, and we're going to keep trying to build on that. That's the big thing, is growing me as a driver. I don't have a lot of stock car experience, and in fact, last weekend was just my first stock car win. So it's definitely been a long road, and we got a lot more stuff to, I still have a lot of stuff to learn. So it's great that we're already having success, and me knowing that I still have to learn more.
Yeah, looking to build that momentum and build that team up until the championship race here coming up in a couple of weeks in Phoenix. Gracin, thanks for joining us here this afternoon on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Congratulations again on the win. Best of luck to you in Phoenix. We'll see you out there in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Look forward to seeing you there.
All right, Gracin Raz joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. A very tight point battle. Did you see the incident that got his teammate turned, Noah Gracin? Chris Eggleston got into him going into turn number 1 and got him turned around. Very similar to what we saw on Sunday in Kansas.
Okay. No, but I actually, if I can get to, if the hotel I'm going to be in this weekend has NBCSN, I'm going to watch it at 7 o'clock on Thursday evening to see a replay of that race. So that's going to be pretty cool. I wonder how many people call him Racing Graz. It's so easy to say Racing Graz instead of Gracin Raz.
Don't get me started.
I know.
But
no, it's so cool. But, and we talk about the parody of this series. A couple of years ago when talking to Kip Childress when he headed out there to take over the reins as the series director, we kind of questioned, the direction of the series. It was a veteran-laden group. I mean, Dylan Lupton was out there, and we had Derek Thorne. He had been out there before. There didn't look to be like a big influx of young talent. All of a sudden, it's just exploded.
In a big way.
Yeah.
And I believe all but 3 or 4 drivers in the top 10 this past week were rookies. Yeah, you have Noah Gracin, who finished 8th. Nicole Bihar got a good run, finishing 7th. Throw in Ryan Partridge and Blake Williams, rounding out the top 10. Another heartbreaker night for Brendan McReynolds. Looked like early engine failure, a 24th place finish.
Yeah,
he just can't get a break.
It just seemed like this was the year, and maybe everybody put the hex on him. Maybe himself. I mean, again, at the beginning of the year with the loss of a couple of drivers that we had, the influx of some very raw talent. You thought Mayhew and McReynolds were going to be the ones that would lead that charge, and unfortunately that hadn't happened. But then look at the parity. I mean, you've got Bill McAnally Racing, you've got Jefferson Pitts Racing, and you've got Bob Brancati, as well as David Mayhew's team, in the top 5. So there's 4 different teams that are in the top 5 in the series standings. So they've got great parity. They've got a great future with a lot of good young talent. There's a lot of good things coming for the K&N Pro Series West.
4 of those drivers separated by 12 points going into the season finale in a couple of weeks in Phoenix, and we will be there live for all the coverage. When we come back, we're going to talk about modified racing, a big weekend at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, and Ryan Preece ended up in victory lane in the Sunoco Modified Division, also ran for a championship in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. We'll talk to him coming up, and later, what NASCAR K&N Pro Series driver wants to jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
Not me.
You're not a
K&N
K&N
driver.
We'll tell you on our Off the Wall segment, but first, Ryan Preece after the break.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Regan Smith joins us on the guest line. Congratulations.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday with Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Take us through what happened.
Alex is an extremely good road racer. He actually got in pretty deep into the carousel on that last lap, and I don't know if he got a little loose, but when he did, he got checked up, and it allowed me to get to the back bumper there. And once I got to the back bumper, I think the rest is pretty much history. Everybody saw what happened there, and we were able to come away with the win.
MRN Motorsports Monday, every Monday at noon at MRN.com. This is NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Here's Kyle and Buddy.
Now, the Northeast racing season, for the most part, wrapped up this past weekend at the World Series of Speedway Racing at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Ryan Preece was a part of the action in several different events. But before we talk to him, I want to congratulate Jamie Tomano. 597 starts. Got a top 20 finish, top 15 in points for the 1990 Series champion, just 3 starts away from that big milestone.
So I'm assuming he's coming back next year.
I
The
think-
Jet's probably coming back.
absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on the Jet in 2016. We're going to keep an eye on Ryan Preece in 2016 too, but let's talk to him about a big weekend at Thompson. Ryan, welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. I know it wasn't the outcome you were looking for at the big show, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, but still tried to make the best of the weekend in a very competitive Sunoco Modified field, getting the win there as well.
Yeah, hey, Kyle and Buddy, how you guys doing? But yeah, I was really happy with how the results ended up with the SK Modified, winning that race, our last race of the year with the Sunoco Modified there at Thompson. It was pretty good to win our 5th race of the season there, and unfortunately, we came up a bit short in the tour race, the big one. But you know, we worked hard all season. We won quite a few races, and we really didn't tear up anything. So that's always a good day.
Yeah, and when you look at what you've been able to accomplish this year, you know, a lot of drivers would, again, be envious, and I know we've touched on that before with you. In addition to the modified racing you've done, you've made your Sprint Cup debut. You've got to run the NASCAR Xfinity Series again this year. You've also had a chance to run a NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series East car. By virtue of those successes in modified competition and how good of a driver you are, that has led you to those opportunities, and a lot of drivers would do anything to be in those shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very lucky to have the opportunities I've had and have the people that support me behind me. You know, Tommy Baldwin's been a really big driving force behind everything, trying to get me out there, and also with Premium Motorsports, huge thank you to them. And you know, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of the right people trying to help you get to where you want to be, and obviously I have great tour owners and SK owners and everybody whose cars I drive. It's always been a pleasure driving for them, and you know, hopefully we can keep having some success and maybe one day move up the ladder.
How would you characterize your season on the racetrack? We talked before the show. We're not sure if this was going to be a happy interview or not. Second in Modified Tour points, second in Thompson Modified points, second in Stafford Modified points, and third at Riverhead. I mean, you were contending in every championship. I guess that's the positive, but you fell like single-digit points short in just about all those championship
battles. And he gets second-class mail probably, too.
Exactly.
That's what he's probably going to tell us.
It's funny. My girlfriend Heather was saying to me the other day, like, you're just a bridesmaid, I guess. But it was pretty funny. You know, at times you look back and you want to be disappointed just because this is the first year, I think, since 2011 I haven't won a championship. But at the same time, this is the most races I've ever won in a year. You know, we won 21 races so far this season, and there's still opportunities to get more. So it's really been up and down, but at the same time, there's really nothing we can hang our heads on. We worked really hard. I learned a lot, not only as a driver this year, but as somebody who's been working on his car and learning more about these cars and trying to make my car better. So it's definitely been an educational year from the driver's seat, but also, you know, outside the driver's seat. So it's been a lot of fun, and I really wouldn't trade anything for the world. So it's definitely it's a roller coaster. Racing's a roller coaster, but it's the times that are frustrating that make those good times that much better.
Hey, one of those big victories this year came at the Bristol Motor Speedway, a combo event with the NASCAR Whelen Tour and also the Whelen Southern Modified Drivers. That's always a huge event. But when you really look, if I'm a team owner, and I'm looking at what you did on the tour with Ed Partridge, what you did in the SKs at Thompson and Stafford. Yes, second place is good. And then finishing second at Bowman Gray in the Southern race, second a few weeks ago here at Charlotte in another Southern event. I'm looking at a lot of different teams that you're running for. And obviously, yes, it's good equipment, it's good owners, you got good crews. But if I'm an owner and saying this guy clicks, he evidently gets it. He clicks with every team, and that's exactly what they're looking for. One of the big attributes I'm sure they're looking for.
Oh, yeah, I would assume so. But, you know, like I said, I've just been really lucky to drive for the people I have. Gary Putnam and Bono, you know, letting me drive that 98 with curb records on it with Menards also. It's been a lot of fun racing for them, but also with Eddie and Connie Partridge with that TS Hauler's team. You know, it's a dream come true to be able to race the amount of modified races that we do. Run a New Smyrna for them, North-South last year, the whole wheel modified tour, a lot of open shows. You know, anywhere where I said, you know, hey, let's go race, they were 100% ready to go. And to have a team that you drive for like that has owners that are willing to give you anything you need, motors, chassis, setup guys, anything you need. They were 100% behind me and Tommy Grasso. It makes racing a lot of fun. And then also, between all my weekly programs we got going on with my 31 Albert and Kathy Moniz, and then one of the Stafford cars that I'm part owner with TD Chassis and Bill Park at Riverhead. We just go every week. We work hard. We try to make our car a little bit better, and we try to win some races. I mean, ultimately that's what the goal is. When you're a racer, you wanna hold checkered flags and hold trophies, and I'm really proud of everybody this year. It was a lot of hard work, but it also brought us all together a little bit closer too.
Back to Sunday for a moment. Looked like another very successful World Series weekend at Thompson. Obviously, you ended up in victory lane. A little chilly. How cold was it? I couldn't believe my eyes when I was watching the pace laps of the modified tour race on fanschoice.tv, and it was snowing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. Actually, I was totally for going green flag though. I was kind of you kind of need a little bit of lady luck at that point. Doug's been so strong at Thompson, so I was kind of like hoping that the track might be a little cold and a lot of guys might slide around up front. But yeah, it was pretty interesting when it started to snow there down the backstretch. I was pretty surprised, but it was a lot of fun. It just goes to show you how cold it was there this weekend now.
Absolutely. I think I got home and turned on a football game. Of course, it's no surprise it was snowing in Buffalo.
No.
But, yeah, Thompson, Connecticut, everybody was cold. And to see some precipitation here early, it's been a little chilly down here as well, Ryan. And I guess that's our next question. Will we see you down here in a few weeks for the North-South shootout? Or what's the season for the balance of the year hold for you guys?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I plan on going to North-South with an SK modified and a tour modified with Eddie Partridge. So, it's definitely pretty cool that it's back at Concord. That place is wild, and I'm really looking forward to it. But also, we got Waterford coming up this week, and it's an open show going on. Sean Monahan and Mr. Beamer, I believe his last name is, who owns the racetrack. They've been doing a great job with that facility, and really the whole management game is really changed there. So I'm really looking forward to going there with an SK modified. It's the first time I'm going to be running there since early on last year, and I'm looking forward to racing with those guys there and trying to have a good run.
Beamer's big one this weekend at the Waterford Speed Bowl to wrap up their season.
Did I hear the legendary Bob Potter's coming back
as well?
That's
what I heard. And
for this race?
No. SK
next year.
Light next year.
Okay.
So that's 2016, so that's going to be interesting. I want to talk about your NASCAR Sprint Cup Series debut. Ryan, you finished 32nd in New Hampshire last month. What'd you learn over the course of your 3 days on the racetrack in New Hampshire in a NASCAR Sprint Cup race car?
That racing has a whole new level when you get to that side. It's all those guys are really talented, so it takes a lot of preparation and a lot of hard and willing to work hard to have a good run. I did everything I could as far as watching on-car videos, pretty much anything that it came to that was going to help me for the race. I was either reading or watching, and Ryan Newman was a huge help, and Rickey Stenhouse also. I had quite a few talks with them, and they were huge, with helping me. So it was a lot of fun during the race. You learn how much those cars transition. You could start the car off where you're pretty good, and you're going to get tighter and tighter as those air pressures build. So it was interesting to feel those transitions, to kind of strategize, see what my crew chief Zach McGowan was strategizing to get us a good day and fight for every spot we could. So my job was to keep the car clean, have good clean solid stops and learn, and I feel like that's everything we did.
Well, with most of the points wrapped up for everybody, I know Waterford's also wrapped up as well. I would say for the balance of the year between the North-South Shootout, the Waterford event, and going into 2016, if I'm racing against Ryan Preece, I'm going to be a little bit worried. Because whenever Preece has this type of a year, look out for the next year because you're not going to hold him down. And Ryan, we've seen that happen so often before. People can hold you at bay for but so long. There's just too much talent that just leaks out of every nook and cranny. and it's just going to be hard for everybody to prevent you from being in second place next year from getting into victory lane or a championship in all the different categories that we talked about.
I appreciate that. But a lot of it has to do with hard work. I mean, racing isn't only one on the racetrack; it's one at the race shop, and with the guys you have working on it. I'm fortunate to work with some great people, and obviously Tommy Gracin does a great job with that 6 car, and Mike Paquette, who owns Chassis Dynamics, I race for him quite a bit, so he does a great job too. And it makes my job a lot easier, but I'm definitely looking forward to next year. I'm hoping we can continue winning races, winning championships, and just keeping cars clean and having fun doing it. So I'm really looking forward to next year and racing pretty much wherever we can.
Yeah, you got a couple of races left this year: North-South Shootout, Beamer's big one, and all little Sprint Cup race in Homestead, Miami, Florida as well. So a lot going on for you. Congratulations on all the successes this year. Best of luck to you in 2016, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of months at the at banquet time.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate having me on, and I'll see you down there soon.
I look forward to it. Ryan Preece joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, and man, second place every division he ran all year. And you mentioned the Southern races. He ran 2 of them, and he finished second in both of them.
Yeah, and then, again, that's such a credit. But you were talking about it, and I've tried to write it down. I was looking for it. 10 behind Rowan Pennick at Stafford, 15 behind Woody Pitcat at Thompson, and 13 behind Kobe.
A couple positions.
It's not much. It was crazy this year for him.
It was fun to watch. Doug Kobe, of course, winning the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Series Championship. He'll join us on our champion show later this season. 11 points over Ryan Preece, 13 points over Woody Pitcat, then Todd Zegedy, and good run for Patrick Emmerling.
Absolutely.
All year long, rounding out the top 5 in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Championship standings. While we have a moment, let's take a moment and get to know some of the stars of NASCAR's regional series as we get to know them a bit closer as we go off the wall. James Bickford, one famous person that you would like to spend the day with.
Wow, there's going to be 2 people. I'm going to say any Cup driver would be interesting enough. Everybody has their own personality, and an artist named G-Eazy. He's somebody that I've followed for like the last 2 years, and I thought, I kind of shout him out every once in a while to hope that I get some attention. But that'd be another guy that I'd probably spend some time with.
Ruben Garcia Jr. Have you ever faked an illness to get out of going to school?
Yes, sure. I think last time I did, I have friends that they were in other schools and they don't have classes that day, but my school does. So I fake to be sick because they were having like a kind of party because they were off school. So I fake I was really sick and to get out of my school and go to the party.
Kenzie Ruston, what's in your iPod right now? What's your favorite music?
Oh goodness, I have the weirdest playlist. You know what I mean? I have Salt and Pepper that I love. I have Corey Smith. I like country. I like rap. I like old school country. I like old school rap. So I'm kind of all over the board.
Kyle Benjamin, name me something, one thing out there in the world that you haven't done yet that you'd like to do one day.
I want to skydive. That would be pretty cool. It's hard to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, but that would be pretty interesting. It's just one of those things that I feel like a lot of people have on their bucket list. It'd be cool to do.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
O'Reilly. A dead battery can leave you stranded, so get yours tested for free during Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a replacement? Purchase a Superstart Extreme or Superstart Platinum battery and get up to $25 in O'Reilly gift cards after a mail-in rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series East driver Kaz Grala, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Kaz Grala, one of those drivers, I believe, that'll head off to the West Coast here in a couple of weeks for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West season finale, driving in the East this year for Ben Kennedy Racing, wrapping up another edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast. Some results this past weekend, not many. Irwindale, they kind of wrapped up their NASCAR season. Zach Green picked up the Superstock Championship there. Riley Herbst won the Super Truck title. Their next event, the Night of Destruction, this coming weekend. Not sure the future of the Irwindale Speedway, unfortunately, when we get past this month.
You see a lot of NHRA stuff in 2016, but you don't see the NASCAR stuff, and that's what scares you. Kern County Raceway Park, also out in California. Eric Richardson picked up the second annual Sitco Lubricants Fall Shootout. That was his 12th win. He had already locked up the title a few weeks ago, besting Buddy Shepard and Coladamo in that race.
New Smyrna Speedway, Brad May picked up yet another pro late model win down in Florida this past Saturday night. Preston Hunt won in the Superstocks. 3 events remain. They'll be back in action this Saturday with a 50-lap feature for the sportsmen. The season, of course, will conclude with the 50th Annual Florida Governor's Cup, November 13th through the 15th.
Corey Dumpert, the late model winner over the weekend at the Barb Nunnekamp McCool 100 at Junction Motor Speedway in Nebraska as he topped Alex Humphrey and Reese Vaught. Their season is pretty much wrapped up, I would have to imagine, if they're out in Nebraska.
Yeah, absolutely. Seekonk Speedway, they wrapped up their season with the rain delayed by, I believe, 2 weekends. DAV Memorial. Dave Darling picked up the win over Mike Rowe to win the Pro Stock feature. A good field of Pro Stocks, 28 strong there in Seekonk. Vinny Arengado, I think that's how you say the last name, won the late model race.
That's not how you say my last name.
No, you're long.
And, you know, even though there's some results this past weekend, there's still a lot of good action coming up this weekend, especially here in the South. A lot of our tracks that have already wrapped up their point season have some good races coming up, including Caraway Speedway in Asheboro, which has the Mid-Atlantic Shootout. That's one of many Southern tracks that are running this weekend.
And West Track also in action. Las Vegas Bullring, they play host to the Fall Classic this weekend, one of the big late model races out there in the left coast.
Hickory Motor Speedway's got the Fall Brawl 200 coming up this weekend. Southern National Motorsports Park, they've been done for a while. The Halloween Spooktacular coming up for late model competition this weekend also.
And we talked earlier with Ryan about Beamer's big one. Bruce Beamer doing a great job at Waterford Speedway. I'm not sure if it's going to have the draw of the World Series at Thompson this past weekend, but you know, a huge purse for the SK Modifieds, their weekly division. They're also going to have an open modified type tri-track race on Sunday that's going to pay a whole lot of money, so I expect the car counts to be good. And the modified fans have one more shot this year to get a big race in up in the Northeast.
Absolutely, and those guys will have a chance to catch their breath. Now they know going into the offseason, they can do off-season repair work, everything they need to do, knowing New London Waterford Speedbowl is going to be back because this time last year, everything was up in the air. And kind of on a sad note, just tough to see Chris Auer Motorsports shutting down this week as well. 22 car on the Wheel of Modified Tour had a good run for a few years.
They had, I believe, their eyes set on Tommy Barrett.
Yeah.
And then when he was suspended from competition mid-season, it put the team in a state of a flux. They had Keith Rocco win until he hurt himself, and then Teddy Christopher came in, and now they said, at least for now, we're done. We're shutting down.
And do me a favor and get Andy Seiss in the truck field for Talladega this weekend. He's going to be in Jim Rosenblum's truck, so our Southern Modified Tour champion, best of luck to him as well.
At the Talladega Super Speedway on Saturday here on the Motor Racing Network. I want to thank Max Siegel, Gracin Raz, and Ryan Preece for joining us. For our producer, Craig Moore, Robbie Mays on graphics. He's Buddy Long. I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you back here next Tuesday on NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network and MRN.com.
You've been listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Tune in next Wednesday at 1 Eastern for more talk from local tracks all over America. NASCAR Coast to Coast is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.